We were talking about space battle and space flight and maneuvering, doing all these cool things that you can do in the gaming system, Edge of the Empire.
Yeah.
Let's go into it. They blast off a Tatooine, headed to some meteor, a mining colony that's in trouble, has seen better days because the Zan Consortium's moving in and stealing all their goods. No, somebody's stealing from Zan. What's happening on that mining colony? So they blast off. What happens?
The pilot's going to have to make a couple of piloting checks, but mostly it's maneuvers. You assume your pilot knows how to hit the gas pedal and move through. So your pilot has their maneuvers per turn, and they can get the speed of the ship up to its speed rating. And each ship has its own speed rating. You know, an A-wing is going to be way faster than a Y-wing. And then after that,
how easy do you get ships to How easy do you get ships? Are they paying to stow? You got a Firefly mission where they're barely keeping it together, kind of like Mandalorian. What are they doing?
They're insanely expensive to get. And if you're a good DM, you don't give your players like a ship that's stocked all the way from the get-go. It should be kind of falling apart because there are a lot of modifications and ship parts that you can get in the game, and they're super cool. It's definitely possible to give the players like a ship at the beginning to be like their home base. They need to get from planet to planet, and sometimes you don't want to deal with, you know, shuttles and you know, space buses and things like that. But it's a junker.
I like that. So we jump off. It's a standard check to see if you can make this thing fly because it does have problems. What are they rolling? So let's say the pilot has ranked 1 yellow and 2 green in their skills, okay?
Sure.
What are you making them roll against you?
If it's a ship that they're not familiar with and it's an old junker, like you said, then it would be like 2 purples and a black. So like the 2 purples is because you gotta navigate through this asteroid field to get to the mining place, perhaps. He's a good pilot, but it's gonna require a check. And then the black is a setback, which is because he's never flown this ship before. He doesn't know where all the controls are, so you give him a little setback that's not as much as a challenge, but it's an environmental thing.
So Jonathan,
unless he's got some stuff to mitigate that.
Exactly, because there are a lot of
speed
stats.
Jockey.
Yeah.
All right, so Jonathan, you're even with your jockey, you're adding a blue die. Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm just taking away that black, baby.
You'll get rid of the black. The black die.
I'm such a good pilot. I don't care where your controls are.
And
I just know.
Jeff flips a dark side point and throws it back in there.
Well, no,
if
that.
I flipped the dark side point, I would upgrade one of those purples to a red. And
that's just mean.
Yeah, and I say, you know, it sputters when it starts and things start, you know, sparks are flying everywhere.
I like this, Jeff.
It's going to be more difficult.
That's a very Jeff thing to do, by the way.
Jeff, how often are you doing boost dies and setback dies anyway?
I try and add as many setbacks and boost dies as I can. It's easy to forget them because they're not a basic part of a skill challenge, but we try and add in the setbacks because there are a lot of talents that the players have that get rid of them. And you want to make sure that your players are feeling like they haven't taken these talents for no reason.
Yeah. So here, Jeff, here's the roll. I rolled 2 blank-sided, so 1 yellow and 1 green blank.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And the other green got both of the symbols.
Okay, so both of the rebellion symbols?
Yeah. So
2 advantage.
1 is an advantage and 1's a hit. Right?
Okay, then yeah, 1's a success, 1 is an advantage.
But on the good old red die you made me roll, I got this weird symbol.
And that is a despair.
Oh.
So
I didn't see the roll. I don't believe that actually happened.
And then I rolled this on the other purple. And this is just disadvantage. So you got advantage, disadvantage. Those knock each other out. But you got 1 success and a despair.
And the despair also counts as a failure, though. So it's a wash. And this is important for players and anybody listening to know. A wash doesn't mean that nothing happens. It means you fail. So you got to have at least 1 success, 1 little explosion left over for it to really be a success.
So
not
this
only
is when Han Solo tries to take off and you just hear...
That's exactly right. Actually, I think that's a perfect...
Yeah, that's a perfect example. That's exactly what I would say, is that not only does he not launch himself off the planet because he failed, but something else happens and it's something's wrong with the ship. So hopefully somebody in the group has a high intellect, high mechanics check, they can get back there and fix it real fast.
You know, Jeff, the one convenient thing that I think Star Wars misses out on all the time is talking about the bathrooms.
Oh boy.
Wookiee, after being in the restroom with a Wookiee, you just... So let's say that blew up. What are we dealing with?
So somebody's... I'm sure the question on the entire crew's mind, it would be, can we fly without it?
Just flush it. All right,
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Can we dump it? And I mean, that would be.
But now everybody has to hold it.
Yeah, somebody's got to hold it. Or there's actually a.
How do we get in this?
It's a skill in Starship rules. It's called manual repairs, and it doesn't use your intellect. It uses your athletics. So it really is just.
Hitting.
Hold on to it. Or just, your Wookiee friend's like, we don't need it, and just kicks it like out, through the wall. And you're just like, okay, go.
And then the ship takes off. I love it.
Yeah.
Great job. And so let's do an example of some combat. So we find, I don't want to say the slave, but maybe a slave type ship coming up on you, and you're in the Millennium Falcon basically. What's the new one? A YT 1500 or 3500?
YT 1300, I think.
1300.
Right?
Well, that's what Han Solo has is 1300.
Oh, okay. So the upgrade is, I think, 15. So let's say you're in one of those ships, and you see a slave type ship coming up on you, a bounty hunter for sure. And he fires at you. What are you rolling?
So they're going to be rolling at you, and so your ship has some defenses, which are like your shields, and those will add setbacks to the bounty hunter's roll.
Is that called silhouette in this one?
Silhouette is the size of your ship, and that dictates what kind of moves you can do. For instance, you can do a lot of different kind of fun, evasive, or
or not.
Or not lazily listing to the left or things like that. If your ship is a small enough silhouette size, but obviously you can't do that kind of thing in a big bulky freighter.
Yeah, so the slave very, very small, Millennium Falcon a little larger, not quite as nimble.
Yeah, so
okay.
The slave ship is going to have a little bit of advantage, especially if it's faster. And then they would fire. So it's based on your distance. As with everything in this game, combat is about range bands. And so with planetary range bands, it's close, short, long, and extreme. So like close is dogfighting, short is just outside of dogfighting range. Like let's say that's where the slave ship is. And so you get your difficulty rating based on how far away you are, and if there are big differences in the silhouette size. For instance, an X-Wing is never going to miss a Star Destroyer.
Danger.
They'll almost
That's a
always
good
hit
tip, Brett. Is that a tip for us?
Yeah. But an X-Wing is almost never going to get through the defenses of a Star Destroyer.
That's a bad tip.
That's also a tip for us.
Yeah.
Bad tip. Don't like that. It's a bad tip.
There's no way these guys are commanding a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's been known to happen.
Okay.
Right,
Known
Jeff?
to happen. So yeah, he fires upon the Millennium Falcon that you're flying, and if it does damage, then it'll do its standard damage. There's also, of course, critical damage again, and there's a whole critical damage chart just for vehicles.
Yep. And with crits, Jeff, I mean, do you keep track of your crits? So if you've been crit once before, you just keep like a diary of sorts, saying I've been crit once, twice, 3 times.
A diary.
Yeah, because
Diary of sorts.
you do want to keep track of your hit crits because the first one you always roll a D100, and that determines what the crit is. Some of them are temporary until the end of just that action. Some last for the entire encounter, so you want to keep track of your crits. Also, even after encounters, the crits do not go away. Even if the effects are drop off after that turn or that encounter, the passive damage that is done to either yourself or your ship stays on there, so that until you get that fixed, medically or mechanically, it adds another 10 the next time you are critted. So let's say I've already been critted twice. The next time somebody rolls a crit against me, they're rolling at whatever the die roll is, plus 20.
Yeah. So let's say they're going after you. Your defense is 2 blue. They both come out 0. You roll 4 successes on 2, and you roll this on
A triumph.
on your D.
Would like those. We like
No,
those.
but is that the slave ship shooting us?
Yes. Yes.
Oh no, we
Well,
hate those.
then we're going to get destroyed.
Oh no. That's
So
So-
how much damage did that just do to the ship?
Depends on the ship, but when you do your damage, it is for ranged weapons, and same for the ship. It is the damage on the weapon. Let's say 4, and then plus each success after that adds more damage. So let's say they did 8 damage, and then they also critted. So that was enough to get past our hull, our defenses, and then also they crit. So then you roll a D100. It probably won't blow us out of the sky immediately, but we've been damaged, and now we're going to get critically.
We're in deep doo-doo.
So a triumph is always a crit. A triumph roll.
You
is
can
considered
use
crit?
a triumph as a crit, as long as you still did some damage. If the shields took everything, then you need to use the crit for, the triumph as a changing something narratively. So you'll say, but I made him veer enough off course that now he has to go through this canyon. That all the piloting checks for your pilot now are going to be harder.
Jonathan, you're going to hate this. And you didn't see this one either, but I rolled an 86.
An 86.
Oh, that's
so
really bad news.
An
Very bad
86
news.
for your vehicle would be shields down. Defense
Bad
in
news.
affected zone is reduced to 0. So now we don't have any more shields.
Okay, so now you're getting a call from maybe a FET in there. Somebody from the slaver saying, surrender, we want your pilot. Are you giving the pilot up just right there?
You got to
And then-
consider it.
Then you have to. Then you got to fix the ship.
It's a serious conversation everybody's gonna have. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How well do I know him?
Yeah.
Right? Do we like him that much?
Yeah.
We can get another pilot, right?
Yeah. You got everything's coming up danger. Well, this is fantastic. I love this. This has been. I hope everybody kind of got what combat would feel like. That was fun. I can't wait to play this game
It's a
again.
great game. We're really excited.
And again, it's
Sit down.
Love it.
Keep going. Keep going.
almost
Rotate.
there.
Rotate. Oh, you were so close. There.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Edge of the
Yeah.
Empire. It's Edge of the Empire role playing game. And if you're lucky enough, grab the DM screen. You know, these things are out of print now. You know, you're going to pay through the tooth and nose to get these things. And if you do have a local game shop with these, little tip, go out and get them right, Jonathan.
Yes.
Because they aren't making the dice anymore, but the Genesis dice work
Get
too.
them while they're hot.
Yep.
It's just cooler to have the real despair show up when you're DMing and you roll it and you're like, well, there goes the game.
Yep.
Everybody. Good job.
Well, there goes
Fame.
the game.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and thank you so much for breaking in our new session. And by the way, Jeff will be on our pilot episode coming in next week or this week, so make sure and look out for that. I think we're calling it like season 5 or something crazy.
Yeah.
It'll be
We
fun.
appreciate it. Subscribe, smash that subscribe, Jonathan. What do you? Vibro axe that subscribe,
Vibro
There you
accent. Yep.
Okay.
Use the force push it.
and
Force push it.
Force push it.
yeah, and then force the comment. There you go. You force
There you go.
like and then comment with the force.
May the
Very
like
good.
be with you. Yes.
There it is.
Smash that subscribe, rate, review, follow, and like. Thanks. We appreciate that.